Hello everyone, and welcome back to Distilogix webinars, our exciting webinars. And today's webinar is very specific because in this webinar we will go through our products portfolio general, so it's nothing specific to a specific product, and we're gonna touch on reasons behind why we're having problems today and why our cybersecurity problems are getting worse every single day. But before we start, we will just wait for a minute or so for people to join. Welcome, and we're happy to have you again. One moment of silence. Great. So I believe we can start. So thank you so much again for being with us. I'm Mohd Elayyan, I'm the CEO and CSO of Distilogix. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be with you today. The topic of today's webinar is really exciting, and we are touching upon the topic that addresses problems of cybersecurity as we speak. And we're not touching the cybersecurity problems in general, so we're going specific for specific challenges that we've been seeing in the last 5 years. And for someone that's been in the industry for long enough, I can tell you that the last 5 years, I've witnessed the biggest transformation in our industry that like never happened before. And that's why at Distilogix, we handpicked a group of technologies that address those challenges and live to the challenge as we speak today and for the coming period. The way we'll do it is I'll start my presentation. We'll go through our product portfolio. But what I promise you is that we will make sure that it's a very exciting presentation and discussion. Please keep it interactive. Ask whenever you want. You can ask in the QA section or leave us drop a message in the chat box. We will address your questions from time to time. So please keep it as interactive as possible. Again, we're happy to have you. I'm gonna share my screen and we will start our topic today. Great. Okay. Okay. So guys, let me know if you're facing any problems with the audio or tech or my screen is not clear. I'm in the middle of traveling, so I have a bit of a challenge with my internet connection. But I have my colleagues also. So Omar Kashred is our CMO, and my colleague Suman and Mohammed Shobaki from business development team. They will take care of your questions, and please guys tap in at any moment and stop me if there is any question that you want me to answer. Okay, so we're at Distilogix, are a distributor, and you know, there are like 1 million distributors in our region, especially out of the United Arab Emirates, covering the Middle East and Africa. And this is why we wanted it from day one to be different than anyone else. We wanted to be different with what we call journey to value. We wanted to make sure that from day one, we have a very clear definition of value for the 3 major stakeholders that we deal with. Definitely the end customer, our partners and resellers in every country that we deal with in the Middle East and Africa. And finally, our technology vendors, the ones that we represent in the region. And our value, starting like from the customer side, and that's this is what we did to be different from anyone else. The first thing we did for customers is that we handpicked technologies and vendors with technologies that fix problems that no one else can fix, and I'm gonna put 1 million lines below that statement and add a specific value to their operations, to our end customers' operations that no one else can provide. Those technologies are ahead of the game, which means that they're not like what everyone else does. Because what everyone else does, as you know from our industry, changes. Our industry is the fastest evolving industry in the world, and it demands and requirements and challenges evolve almost every 3 years, probably faster than that. So we want to make sure that we're ahead of the game with technologies that add specific value to our customers, fix a problem to our customers that no one else can fix, ahead of the game, but yet they have a business value. Because sometimes when you bring in a technology that's ahead of the game, it may not have like a very specific business impact. It may maybe just be a fancy that doesn't have any application, any business applications. We make sure that those technologies have business applications. And that's why we work with customers by providing those technologies, despite the fact that we're channel driven, which means that we don't sell directly to end customers. Any transaction has to go through resellers and partners in every country that we deal with. We work with customers on education and training, consultations. We're ready to help any customer if they need help in specifications and preparations for their tenders and RFPs and documents and technical comparisons. We're there to help end customers with that. And then this brings value to our resellers because when you do customer education, you create demand. That's what we do. So we create demand. We empower our resellers through lots of trainings. We've done in June 4 trainings, and we're planning, I think, 4 or 5 trainings in less than 2 months. Trainings that we encourage you to attend as resellers or end customers. We train you on technologies that are ahead of the game with great value, disruptive technologies that fix problems that today no one else can fix. So our value to resellers starts through our education and empowerment of resellers, sales, pre-sales, and technical. The entire pre-sales stack of support, such as POCs, demonstrations. We go with our resellers to the point we help them even in their technical response to RFPs. So we help you with that. We stay with our resellers until the last moment before they submit their proposals to like the responses to tenders and public RFPs and so on. We work with our resellers very transparently. So we make sure that your efforts as our partner is recognized by the technology vendors. We help you with deal registrations. We make sure that you're immediately connected with our technology vendors so that your value is recognized. We make sure that we maintain that transparency. Why? Because we want to be your most trusted and reliable DIST partner, as it says in our slogan below. Of course, demand generation makes your job as a reseller easier because you will go to a customer and you find that the customer knows about that technology because of our massive digital reach and education and demand generation. And finally, for our technology partners and vendors that we represent in the region of the Middle East and Africa, we make sure that we work as their extended arm for business development, marketing, channel, resellers empowerment and enablement to make them understand the resellers landscape and the market dynamics so that we come up with the most efficient recipe and the shortest path to for return on investment and to reach to success. So I think Tariq, you raised your hand. Is there any question? I think there is a question, the questions and answers before we move on. Good evening. Hello, Chris. We're happy to have you, man. If there is any question, Tariq, now you please post it in the Q&A or in the chat, and we will handle it throughout the presentation. So let's move on. Distilogix was established in 2015 by Omar Keshret, had another partner and investor, Mr. Mamoun Daoud. He's one of the one of the technology evangelists in our region, a consultant, virtualization guru. They've been in the industry for very long. Many of you know him because he has done lots of virtualization trainings and engagements with customers and resellers in the region. The groups of technologies that we carry are cybersecurity for IT and OT, open networking for an SDN, and digital experience. These are logos of products that we carry. But before I move on and go to the details of each one of them, I want to take this challenge. Every single one of those is very disruptive that blows minds off. And not just because it's a fancy product, it's because it does fix problems that no one else managed to fix. Great. Moving on to our cybersecurity products. Xcitium, in simple words, it's an endpoint protection tool that disrupts how we do endpoint protection. We're not anymore dependent only on antiviruses, next generation antiviruses, EDR, sandboxing. These do not work anymore enough to provide enough protection. We're bringing something different on top of that. Protelion, post-quantum computing and communication encryption and VPN, that has great use cases. That it's a military-grade encryption provided to everyone now, and it has multiple great use cases that you can use with your customers. Zecurion, and a next-generation DLP. And you say, okay, the market has lots of DLP tools. Yeah, but this is next generation. It does cover channels that no one else has covered, and we will explore them together. And it does bring in insider threat management with DLP in one platform, which is something that never happened before. MiniOrange, an awesome MFA, single sign-on, identity and access management, IAM, customer identity and access management, and finally, a great addition to the product that they had this year, which is privileged access management. An awesome tool, a group of tools that they provide. Tenzig is our zero and thin client provider. They give you those tiny little devices as big as your hand probably that you can use to replace a laptop in a virtual environment with a very secure operating system that really enhances your cybersecurity posture. Syncdog is a very disruptive mobile security and enterprise security tool and platform. Some people like to call it next generation MDM. I have an allergy from the word MDM, but anyways, it's a next generation MDM. I like to call it enterprise mobility security. It takes how we manage workforce to a different level, how we manage our employees, platforms and endpoints to a different level, how we manage different kinds of employees, whether it's our corporate employees, freelancers, and whoever works for our corporate to a different level. We'll go through all these products in detail. Xcitium, and as I said to you guys, this is a very disruptive technology, and I'm up to the challenge that it blows your minds off. And I'll start by stating that Xcitium is an endpoint protection tool. And you're probably just leaning back now and saying, oh, another endpoint protection tool? Like on top of CrowdStrike and Symantec and Kaspersky and SentinelOne and Cortex and SecureX and Trend Micro and McAfee and ESET and all of that? And I say, yes. Why? Because all of them cannot provide you with enough protection today. Why? Because they all have to detect something, detect a behavior, detect a signature, if it's an old antivirus tool, which is like probably dead now, a behavior like a next generation antivirus, or an indicator of compromise like EDRs, suspicious behavior in general using Yara search or any other algorithms. they try to detect today something to protect you. Unfortunately, today's techniques and tactics and procedures used by ransomware and malware outperform the capabilities of detection. The problem is not in the tools themselves. Every name I mentioned now is a great tool. Kaspersky is an awesome next generation antivirus. Trend Micro and others. CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, awesome endpoint detection and response. They're awesome technologies. They've spent billions of dollars trying to make their algorithms, detection algorithms, even better and better every year, and they've done a great job. The problem today is that detection is not up to the challenge. It's exactly like when I say to you guys, do you think that if you use the best firewall on earth, you will be able to protect yourself from a ransomware attack? You'll say no. It's not a problem with the firewall. You could be using the best firewall on earth. It's a problem with the technology, techniques, and tactics and procedures used by ransomware. They outperform the capabilities of the best of the best of the best firewall on earth. And when I say endpoints, and I mean by that every device, in simple words and slang like industry slang, I mean by that anything that runs an operating system. So it's your Windows laptop, Windows server, virtual machine, cloud instance, Mac laptop, Linux laptop, or devices or whatever, Android, iOS, mobile phones, or pads, or whatever they are. These are endpoints. And today, endpoints are the end game. Why? Because we cannot use network layers to protect them from ransomware. I don't know if you're old enough like me to remember the old days when we thought that, if you had any cybersecurity training in that era, when we thought that by layering more network security controls on top of your endpoint, that could be a database server or whatever your e-commerce server or your laptop, by layering multiple network controls, we believe that, oh, we can protect you. We don't care about what kind of antivirus you use today. No, this doesn't work anymore. Because hackers and ransomware gangs won't spend 6 months trying to penetrate all of the network controls that you put. Email security, firewalls, IPS, and deep packet inspection, URL filtering, proxies, and all of these controls on top of your endpoint. They will not spend today 6 months trying to penetrate that if they can send you a simple phishing email through a LinkedIn message or an email message or WhatsApp message or anything else. And it only needs one single person in your organization. That could be your secretary or your security guard or anyone to click on that link and download the code on behalf of the ransomware gang and run that ransomware. And then the ransomware takes all the time it needs to escalate its privileges, to do that lateral movement, and to transfer from one endpoint to another until it can get hold of your critical assets and control them and destroy them and cause you damage. So ransomware gangs today, they don't spend time trying to penetrate your network. So network cannot protect endpoints. Actually, I do believe that we don't even need to stop at the endpoint level, which is the operating system level, making it protect itself. We should go even to the application itself and help it protect itself using stuff such as RAS, runtime, self-application protection, and others. So it's endpoint protection, it is destructive. And we say to you that every other endpoint tool doesn't provide enough protection. How do we know that? Let's look at some articles that we shared in this presentation, and we'll be sending them to you. Look at what Forbes said in 2021, in May 2021. Forbes said that why the dwell time of cyber attacks hasn't changed. The dwell time is the time that your EDR tool needs to detect a ransomware. Your next generation antivirus needs to detect a ransomware before execution of ransomware, or EDR after the execution of ransomware. Why does it not change? Simply because detection is not up to the challenge. Trying to be so good at detection doesn't add much value to your endpoint protection today. And how we know also, look at the attacks that happened in the region. Look, I was looking at an article that, like, if you know Al Arabiya Net, if you search Al Arabiya Net, Al Arabiya Net is a TV station that has, yeah, heard of this. Al Arabiya Net is a TV station known in our region, especially in the GCC countries. They had an article in January 2023 when they talked about huge organization, I think 20, 40 or 42 or 45 organizations that were hit by ransomware the last 6 months of 2022. And most of them were like in the most advanced countries we have in the region, like the UAE and Saudi and so on. These organizations are huge. They spend millions of dollars every year on their control, security controls. Do you believe that these organizations do not have the best of the best of the best of next generation antivirus and the best of the best of the best of EDR? They do have that, but unfortunately, this did not help them. This did not help them at all avoid those ransomware attacks. The challenge is way bigger than what we expect. The challenge is way bigger than what we expect because detection is not enough. And sadly, those attacks, you look just at the same article, just the same organization, 18 months before that, just 18 months before that, they were talking about the same problem. Some of the organization mentioned in 2021 were hit twice in 2021 and 2023 in just 18 months. And again, it's not because the tools that they use are bad. They're awesome tools. Detection is the problem today. And I can show you lots of these articles. Look at how many new pieces of malware we get every single day. Do you see the number? If you just Google it, we have more than 500,000 of new pieces of malware in the internet pushed every single day. If 10% of those has new behavior that can evade detection by EDRs and next generation antivirus, that's disaster. That's 50 to 60,000 every single day that are looking the internet. If you're the first person to be hit with that, that's it. You're gone. Your detection tools, if it's the best on the earth, EDR or antivirus, they will not help you. Look at even more data. Look at this article. This is crazy. Do you see? Ransomware gangs today are using AI and ChatGPT. Why? To create mutating malware that can evade detection by EDR. So they mutate behavior to be able to evade detection by EDR. And that's why we have a successful ransomware attack every single day, every 11 seconds today. Imagine every 11 seconds. Now, so what is the solution then? If that's the problem, what does Xcitium do differently to fix the problem? Simply, Xcitium said, oh, detection doesn't work, then we'll not do detection. We'll not even bother trying to detect anything. So how do you protect me from ransomware if you do not try to detect the ransomware? And that's the genius in what they did. They said, we will bring zero trust with real-time security altogether for endpoints. Okay, fine. Zero trust that's a great concept. You use it with ZTNA in the cloud, with identity, with access, with everything. It's awesome. But how do you get a functioning zero trust on endpoints? And they came up with a genius deployment that is called kernel level API virtualization. So, which is like, let me show it to you here. Maybe, okay, here it is. Kernel level API virtualization. And and it's a patent technology, which means that no one else has it. They've got like 27 patents around it. So the theory behind it is, Xcitium said to you, man, if you run a legit application on any endpoint, like your Windows laptop, or the worst ransomware on earth, they both have to go down to the core of your operating system, which we call the kernel, why? To access critical resources on your endpoint, such as your file system, your network, like communication command driver to connect your network card and I/O and everything. And those, we call them the critical resources of your operating system. Everyone, whether it's the worst application on earth, or script on earth, or file on earth, or the best file on earth, or unknown, they all have to go down to kernel to access those critical resources. So Xcitium said, we'll simply just sit down next to the kernel, and we will integrate with the kernel through APIs. We don't care about the kernel. We don't try to protect it. We just integrate. And whenever we intercept any request that goes down to the kernel asking for a critical resource in your operating system, and if that request comes from unknown, even if it's a good unknown, we will not allow it to touch your critical resources. We will isolate it in a fully isolated environment, and on the hard disk and a chunk of memory that is isolated from your critical resources, and we will leave it to play there. We don't even try to do anything with it, don't detect it, without interrupting your business. So we leave it there. If it tries to cause any harm, mess up your registry keys, intercept key processes, I don't know, encrypt files, it tries to do anything, we wipe out the whole environment instantly, and that's why it's called real-time security. The zero trust concept comes from intercepting the kernel level API virtualization, which is intercepting any call to the kernel from any unknown and not allowing it to touch your resources unless it's proven to be 100% safe. So that's the theory behind it. And you may be thinking, okay, so you're gonna isolate at the kernel level every unknown. This would lead to what? To overwhelming my resources on my laptop. And that's the second genius part of what Xcitium does. No, because of the aggressive, there are AI patterns, and because of the aggressive use of metadata, a 1 gigabyte file could be copied to end up like 50K or 60K. They've got a genius deployment. Their impact on your endpoint averages on 0.5% on your resources. We can virtualize and isolate hundreds of unknowns with a minimal impact on your resources. The third genius part is what we call, and what actually Frost and Sullivan called which is this statement from them. They said the Xcitium zero dwell time technology. They call it zero dwell time because dwell time is equal to zero. The time to get rid of the malware is equal to zero. It's not like EDR. We don't need hundreds of days to detect and respond to a malware, or I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever. Zero, absolute zero. That's why they call it zero dwell time technology. It utilizes patent kernel API virtualization to prevent unknown malware from accessing your critical system resources. All the system resources managed by your kernel that may cause damage, while what? While providing complete use of the unknown file or the application. If you go to our YouTube channel, on Distilogix YouTube channel, we've got a demo where we run a Word file that has a malware piece in it, so ransomware piece in it. So you can go there. Like what we do is that we run a Word file that has a ransomware piece. The moment you double click on that file, the ransomware starts encrypting your hard disk. But you still can open the file, copy and paste. It's editable. And the Xcitium client just isolates it because it's unknown to it. Doesn't know if it's good or bad. So it isolates it, but it allows you to work. And if the Xcitium client cannot make a verdict and decide whether that file is safe or not, it will just contain it forever, for 100 years. No impact in business. Every time you come in the morning, you double click on that file, it opens in an isolated environment. You won't feel it. The only thing is that you will see a green tiny little border around your file, which is a visual indicator from the Xcitium client telling you, man, there is something wrong with this file. I don't trust it. I'm not gonna let it touch your resources. This is something different. This is why we say Xcitium is not antivirus, is not a next generation antivirus, not sandboxing, not EDR. And Xcitium has a massive offering today, like a financial commercial offering for customers and resellers. And their commercial offering specifically for the Middle East and Africa, it's a program called Rep and Replace. So if your customer is willing to replace their endpoint protection with an Xcitium solution and platform, they get for a very, very, very aggressive price. You cannot imagine the price, and we can, like my colleagues can share pricing when needed. With a very aggressive price, you get for one license per endpoint per year, you get the zero threat patent technology that I just described to you, but you get with it a next generation antivirus for free, EDR for free, like any other EDR. Doesn't help you, doesn't fix the problem. What fixes the problem actually is the zero threat, but they take care of whatever they can take care of. If they fail, the zero threat technology jumps in, boom, and kills the malware. So next generation antivirus, EDR, firewall, host-based IPS, and the whole stack. And then you get an online cloud-based platform that gives you patch management for Windows devices with a workaround for Mac devices, vulnerability assessment, software inventory, MDM capabilities that allows you to RMM to mobile devices or remote devices, install software, enforce policies, and whatever you want. And finally, a simple audit and compliance tool. All of that for a very, very aggressive price today. If you're willing to, we encourage you big time to try it. We encourage you to do POCs. It's a very simple, straightforward process to run a POC. And on top of that, with this aggressive price, all of the deliverables I just mentioned, Xcitium is committed to give you up to 6 months extra service in case, like for example, if you've got endpoint protection and your license is expiring in December, but you place the order today, Xcitium will cover the period from now to December for free. So you get up to 18 months of service for the price of a 12-month service. Very aggressive price. Great. Second product that we carry is Protelion. Protelion is a high-end. Let me check if there are any questions and comments, guys. So let me know if there is any in the chat or okay, nothing. We've got questions here, question and answers. So Zishan, it seems that the social engineering attacks were the malicious entity fools. It fools, yeah, your employee into thinking a file or user is legitimate in a common vector for us. Yeah, of course, that's what they do. And that's why you truly need that something that won't waste time on detection, because detection cannot work enough. It does protect you probably from 97% of the attacks we have in the market, but the remaining 3% cause today a successful ransomware attack every 11 seconds. So is it possible to install a CDM inside an isolated network with no internet access? You can install the client, and Xcitium as a solution is a cloud-based solution, but you can, and that's a great question. You can install the client today, and that's why airports are using it big time. You can install the Xcitium client today on your endpoint, then disconnect it from the internet and configure it to not connect anymore to the cloud, and take it to the middle of the desert even for 5 years, disconnected from anything else. After 5 years, you bring in a USB memory stick that has like a piece of file or whatever that has a ransomware, double click on that. The 5-year-old Xcitium client that has not gotten any update from Xcitium Cloud will still isolate that file, and if that file tries to cause harm, it will wipe it out because it doesn't trust anything as simple as that. If it's an unknown trying to access your critical resources, it will be isolated. That's it. Now, or after 100 years, it will behave the same. Great. So moving on with Protelion. Protelion is a really high-end product, So usually it is for large organizations, military, big banks, large government organizations that are sensitive about their communication and encrypted communication. So their power comes from... Yes, Nadir?
If you will allow me, there is a couple of questions. Sorry, do you mind please answer them?
Yeah, I did answer Zishan's question and Mazen's question. I did. Yeah, Mazen, there is another question. And my question, is it possible to have a proxy? Yes, you can have a proxy for updates purposes. And then take care of this. Yes, you can. You can use a proxy, which is the Squid proxy. You probably know it. Yes, you can do that. Yeah, great. So Protelion again. Protelion is high-end protection, high-end product for large organizations. Their power is that they've got an encryption algorithm that is military grade, that is post-quantum computer. If we use Gartner like terminology, it's a post-quantum computing encryption that cannot be decrypted even by a quantum computer today. So they use like symmetric key instead of asymmetric key like IPsec VPN or like RSA algorithms, because IPsec VPN, RSA algorithms, all of them, they can be decrypted today by a quantum computer in 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the key. So they have that massive capability of encryption and VPN. You may wonder, okay, so you give me an encryption algorithm that cannot be decrypted by a quantum computer. Yeah, but who does have a quantum computer? I do not own one, and I think you don't own one too. They're too expensive. But when it comes to large organizations, they're sensitive because they're adversaries. There could be even countries or something bigger than just a normal organization. They do have quantum computers and they do have access to those, and they do want to spy on your communication and your VPN. And when I say communication, doesn't mean only phone communication or voice communication. Could be anything, any communication between any two endpoints. So that's the power. Now, what are the use cases? Because yeah, we do. That's a great thing, but how can I use that power? The first use case that Protelion has is what we call corporate secure communication. And corporate secure communication is simple. As simple as could be in two forms. One, just a replacement of WhatsApp. So just an app you download on your mobile phone or Windows laptop. It's an app you download, or iOS or Android or anything. And you use it as a corporate to replace WhatsApp to communicate for communication and collaboration between your employees. And you may wonder, oh, why would I want to get rid of WhatsApp? WhatsApp is cool. Yeah, it is cool, but not for big organizations. It's a security threat for them. You want to know why? Read this article. Or it is. We'll share it with you later on. Look at this article. Do you know Morgan Stanley Bank, one of the largest, probably the largest American bank, or the second largest American bank, multi-trillion-dollar bank? Do you know what they do? Can you read this article? This is from Reuters, like, I don't know, in January 2023. Morgan Stanley Bank today penalizes employees as much as $1 million. For what? For using WhatsApp. Why? Because simply they will compromise. That's it. So yeah, WhatsApp tells you that they've got like end-to-end encryption, but they don't tell you that their service is in the middle. And that's why WhatsApp is a security risk vector to huge organization. Whether that huge organization is a military organization, a huge bank, huge commercial organizations, utilities, power generation, like utilities or desalination or any of that. So the first use case of what Protelion offers is corporate secure communication. That could be an app that you download and then you get the licenses from. You can download it now actually, but it won't work without licenses. So you start using it. You do everything you can do with WhatsApp, whether it is texting, video calls, audio calls, whatever you do with WhatsApp. It's just a full replacement to that. And the second form of corporate secure communication is a hardened phone. So Protelion can give you a hardened phone with shrinked operating system. We call them armored phones. So shrinked operating system, so secure, cannot be traced, tracked, GPS, GPRS, or Wi-Fi or whatever, cannot be reset to factory defaults. You cannot install any app unless it's an app that is available in an app store provided by that organization. Can be configured like crazy. It works really fine, even with satellite internet connections. So for phone calls, and you know how that latency that we get with the satellite, how it affects the quality of the call. It's an awesome product that Protelion has for VIPs and sensitive organizations. The second use case, which is also a great thing, is industrial security. So on top of their encryption and protection algorithms, they give you a comprehensive solution for OT, IoT, ICS, all the way to SCADA. So they understand even the SCADA protocols if you want to do a protection across the whole country. And OT, IoT security today is a messed up industry. Everyone jumps in and they say that we do have OT security because it's a growing threat, growing problem. But Palo Alto jumped in, Fortinet jumped in, and they say, oh, we do have OT security. But in simple words, in the OT world, we have companies such as Nozomi that does vulnerability assessment for OT devices. So it tells you which ones are vulnerable. We have products like Dragus that give you proxies in front of the OT devices so that you protect communication and you protect that device. You've got Phosphorus that gives you a comprehensive view of what you have. We've got Zage for OT identity and stuff like that. Protelion gives you a comprehensive solution. It works with all of those, but it gives you a comprehensive solution. It gives you proxies like Dragus to protect. It can install its client, and this is really unique. It can install its client, so Protelion client can be installed to protect some OT devices on the OT device. So some OT manufacturers like Siemens or IoT/OT manufacturers, Siemens, I don't know, Schneider Electric, and all of those, Honeywell, and all of those, we can install on some of those devices our client to protect them. And of course, Protelion gives you application layer firewalls that is like Fortinet to get the application awareness and policies and stuff like that. They can extend the protection where we can use like install it on a Raspberry Pi and connect it to a drone so that we protect the communication with the drone so no one can intercept that call for whatever reason, that communication. We use it to protect vehicles, like in-vehicle management systems. Like we've got a huge installation in Europe where money transfer vehicles that take money from banks to ATM machines and stuff like that, we protect them with multiple solutions, including the Protelion secure communication. Protelion has CyberRange training platform. CyberRange is like, there is a trend for those now where you get a cloud platform that allows you to mimic your existing environment and then run a real cybersecurity attack on those to just figure out if your cybersecurity defenders are up to the challenge. And if not, you just train them. So you don't want them to be caught by surprise through a real-time attack on your real environment. So that's something gaining momentum for high-end organizations. And Protelion has next generation application firewalls, next-gen firewalls, exactly like Palo Alto and Fortinet and others, and they have a threat detection and response system too. The third product in our cybersecurity portfolio is an awesome product called Zecurion. And Zecurion is a next generation. Let me check if there is any questions here. Okay. I see your Tarek's hand is still raised, so if you have any questions, please just paste it there. Okay. So. Okay, no questions. Good. Going back to the presentation. So, Zecurion is a next generation data leakage prevention tool. And again, the same problem. Why are we bringing a next generation DLP if we have lots of them in the industry? Some of them have been in the market like for decades. So now we call them the legacy DLP systems. Like, I don't know, we've got ForcePoint, we've got WatchGuard, we've got even Microsoft and Symantec and others. The reason is 4 major things. I'll start with the easiest one. The easiest one is that Zecurion has its own data classification. So, you know, and when you want to run a project, a DLP project, what you do is you need to do first is to classify your documents, and you use a tool such as Get Visibility, Titus, Bolden James, and others to classify and tag your documents so systems will know which document is classified or secret and which document is public, and then you can apply policies accordingly. Legacy systems, they need third-party data classification tools. So every one of them, like ForcePoint uses Bolden James, and others, like they use Bolden James, they use Get Visibility, they go Titus, and others. Zecurion has its own data classification. That's point number one, but it's not the biggest difference. The second difference is that next generation DLPs like Zecurion, they can install and finish the project usually in less than half the time needed for a legacy system. If you've done any DLP projects before, you know how big and tiring they are. A DLP project is a 1 year plus. It takes time first for consultation, so consultants need to come work a lot with what we call stakeholders like department managers, and those consultants have to sit down with them and find out which documents are classified and start tagging them using the third-party tool, and then move to train them so that those people, those stakeholders will be able to tag and classify documents, the new ones, after the consultants leave. And then you go to configure your DLP project and connect it to the mail gateway so that if someone tries to leak a document as an attachment, it can be detected. You enforce policies in your USB memory sticks. You can block someone from copying and pasting the document to USB stick, or you can configure it to prevent dropping a document to Dropbox or Google Drive and all of that to stop leaking these documents. These projects are cumbersome and they're really tiny. Next generation tools are much faster because of the massive deployment of AI and machine learning. But again, this is not a major difference. Now we go to the major differences. The first major difference is that today Zecurion covers leakage channels that are not yet covered by legacy systems. And as leakage channels are, like as I said, copying the document to USB memory stick, Dropbox, Google Drive, sending it as an attachment to your email. All of these can be covered by legacy systems. So what does Zecurion do more than that? Do you see the picture here next to where it says Zecurion on the top of the picture of my slide? It's simple. What if I work for you and I sit in front of my laptop and I'm looking at a secret document? Could be your financial statement or a government document or anything that is really classified and cannot be leaked. Okay, I cannot copy it to USB memory stick because you're blocking it. I cannot drop it to my Dropbox. I cannot send it to my email. What if I pick my phone and take a photo of that document? Legacy systems cannot stop that. Zecurion can detect that. Zecurion does detect that using their AI, and it instantly notifies the administrator. It takes a photo of me taking that. It takes a screenshot of the document I was trying to leak, and it instantly notifies my admin. And if I try to cover the camera with my finger so that Zecurion cannot detect me, then it will notify my admin and say that, oh, he is covering his camera so that he cannot be detected. That's one way that is massively huge development. What if also I'm looking at this classified as secret document, and I pick my phone and I start calling my colleagues and reading the documents to them? That's a way of leaking it. So I can read it. I can say next generation DLP, more than data loss prevention, traffic control, device control, and they can write down or record what I'm saying. That's a way of leaking documents today. Legacy systems cannot detect that. Zecurion can. And that's why big names like the names I'm showing you here are using Zecurion. Alliance, they're using it even for investigation if anything happens to their insured members and so on. The last great thing that Zecurion does, different than normal legacy systems, is that they brought what we call insider threat with data leakage prevention. Insider threat tools are usually independent, like Proofpoint, from the famous Proofpoint insider threat tool. They are independent. They give you ability as a corporate to control what employees are doing, monitor their changes in behavior, even emotional state, so that you can identify if you have someone who's an insider that is planning to cause harm to the organization. What Zecurion did is that they brought both together, DLP and insider threat, in one platform. Why? Because documents do not leak by themselves. Documents leak because an insider decided to leak that document and probably was planning to do that for months. If you have insider threat management tool that could detect changes in behavior and access and everything, you probably could have stopped him like a month before he leaked the document and so on. You know, the infamous insider that did leak documents is Richard Snowden. We know all of that. Richard Snowden, when he leaked those US NSA documents, he did not hack into their system. He was one of their employees, and he was planning for months to leak that document. An insider threat tool probably could have stopped that from happening a month before it happened or 2 months before it happened. The last product in our cybersecurity, no, it's not the last one, actually. So MiniOrange is the next product. MiniOrange is an awesome tool that does single sign-on. We all know what single sign-on, when you bring MFA and single sign-on, you have that control of your passwords. They do identity and access management, and customer identity and access management, which we all know. Recently, they've added what we call privileged access management, for which they're going very aggressive in the market commercially and technically. A great chance for our resellers to sell the product in the region. And if you've seen the names, their customers, it's a huge and well-developed tool for single sign-on, identity and access management, customer identity and access management, and privileged access management. And they've got like everything. They give you MFA for Windows, for RDP, so you can add that level of security. All of the tools, guys, I showed you today, they help you even to be ready and compliant with major compliance bodies, like with ISO, with if you're like in Saudi and you're doing Aramco CCC certification, all of this required. XCDM covers major part of it. They require MFA for every SaaS application and every privileged access. They require integration with those SSO and MFA and identity and access management and PAM with almost everything you do on your digital infrastructure. And it's a really an awesome tool because it really covers everything. So if you think about even Atlassian, you remember that project management tool, they've got MFA for that. You remember they had lots of problems a few years ago, so they added plugins and add-ons for that. They've got things for Office 365, things for privileged devices, firewalls, Windows laptops, and everything. And as I said to you, with privileged access management, we've got a massive program to help you position and win deals. Like really commercially advantages with great technical capabilities. Please come back to my colleagues if you need any support from that. And as I said to you, it covers a major part of, if you are applying for any certification, it does cover a lot of what those controls require in that certification. Aramco CCC, the UAE IA, the ISO 27001, and even the SAX 02 and others. The next product that we carry is a very cool product. We call it Tenzig. Tenzig is a manufacturer, a really unique manufacturer of zero and thin clients, and they even give you software to repurpose your laptops and convert them into zero and thin clients. So with zero clients, you get NOS operating system. Zero clients are the ones that work with your virtual environment dedicated to a specific virtual environment. So if you're using VMware, it works for VMware. Using Citrix, it works for Citrix. You just power it up, boom. The devices are as big as your hand. You just power it on, replace the laptop, connect it to a monitor, boom. You're connected to the VMware environment. You just need your credentials. The thin clients are the ones that work with multiple virtual environments, and they run a peak OS operating system, or the Windows 10 IoT, but that requires Windows licenses. They give you repurposed laptops, so they allow you to repurpose old laptops that have less CPU power and less memory to run modern applications, so you can extend their life. They are a great addition to your cybersecurity posture. We've worked with organizations where even for OT security, the laptops connected in their operation room, they were replaced by Tenzig zero clients for the purpose of enhancing their cybersecurity posture. They come with a free management platform that you can install on premises or on a cloud instance on a Windows operating system and or a Linux operating system. They come with a variety of hardware capabilities. So, for example, there is a group of products that the entry level that connect, help you do everything perfectly, even audio calls, but not optimized video calls. If you want to have optimized video calls on top of that, then like Microsoft Teams and Zoom and others, then you move to the next group. If you want high-end like rendering and everything, computing power, you go with the third group. They're very optimized to VMware and Citrix and Windows 365 protocols, and they support all of that, including the video optimization algorithms. The last product in this group is a product called Syncdog, an awesome product. People like to call it next-gen MDM. I have a problem with the word MDM from my experience, but let's call it that. I like to call it enterprise security. I like to call it mobility security. So it is a product that enhances the way you address challenges that come today from mobile workforces. MDM historically was about what? Like you as a corporate, you want to give corporate devices that could be laptops or mobile phones to your employees, and you want to control those devices. You want to apply policies because you want to reduce the risk. Those devices get connected from internet cafes or from homes or whatever. You don't want them to be access points to your workload and bring in malware and ransomware. So when you give them your endpoints as a corporate endpoint, you try to control the policy. You apply policies by controlling how it behaves, which applications are installed and not installed, what the user can do. You block him from accessing USB memory stick or from even doing a screenshot, where you want to reduce the chances of risk when you give him that corporate device. You know what happened today? One, MDM solutions became so complex and tiring for organizations. how many of you guys still hear about Mobile Island that Avanti purchased like a few years ago, several years ago? The godfathers of MDM, from our region at least, up till now. Whereas products like, I don't know, I don't want to mention names, like the MDM has had lots of problems, even starting like 2018, 2017, and especially after COVID. Because after COVID, you ended up in a situation, even earlier, but you ended up in a situation where you're forced and you had to accept that your employees will use more and more and more personal devices to connect to your workload, whether you like it or not. And personal devices, I mean by that, which every one of you guys have it today. Everyone has in his pocket at least one mobile phone that has at least one application connected to the workforce, even from his personal device. At least it's a mail client. So that created a big problem. And if I, as a corporate, want to enforce policies in your personal endpoint, that's a mess. Why do you want to control my personal mobile phone and prevent me from doing a screenshot or my personal laptop? So companies tried to come up with solutions. Some of them came up with the concept of secure browser isolation and all of that, where they give you a cloud browser, and then you say to your employees, you cannot access corporate workload except through that secure browser. Yeah, but they didn't pick it well, because we do more than just accessing using secure browsers. Some companies came up with the concept of application wrapping. They said, okay, you've got your applications on your personal device that connect to my workload, so I'm going to wrap it with a management layer that enhances its cybersecurity, and it does give me insights about what the application is doing, and give me some management where I can apply policy. Again, it didn't pick up, because if I want to wrap applications this way, things change, and people keep changing non-stop. It's an operational cumbersome. And that's when the genius solution came through Syncdog. Syncdog said, man, this doesn't work. What we will do, we will give you a container on your endpoint. And our container will contain all of your business applications that you're allowed to use. Provision to you. Mail client, your calendar, your ERP, even your photo, like camera app, you will get a camera app within the container only for work purposes. When you use it to take a photo, like on a mobile phone, you take a photo and you close the container, go out to your gallery, you will not find it there. It isolates your personal apps and environment, your operating system, your environment, it isolates your environment 100% from your work environment. You will have all of your work applications in that container, fully encrypted using AES 256. I mean, again, symmetric key encryption, great encryption techniques. It does have mobile threat detection, so the container itself will detect if your personal device is facing problems, virus, whatever, malware, and it can be configured to wipe itself out if something happens to your mobile device. Although if it doesn't need, because that it's encrypted and cannot be accessed even whatever happens to your personal device, but it can be configured that. And then in that container, you apply corporate policies. You allow and you do not allow things that you don't want your employee to access. It's a total separation, something that never happened before. And if you know containers do process level isolation, where you bring an application, for example, with all the dependencies it needs to run, like its runtime, its code, its libraries, everything that it needs contained in a secure environment. I can do it for a global product, but like what Syncdog did. So there is a total isolation between your work environment at the process level from your personal life. So it's not like a virtual machine. Virtual machines do not share the kernel. Here you're sharing the kernel of the operating system through the container, but it is encrypted and it's isolated from the entire environment. Okay, let me check if there are questions. Can you guys still hear me? Because I'm probably facing some slow internet.
No, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
But
Yeah, apologies. Yeah.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to talk to our attendees about our upcoming events.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Let's go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
We have a Vimbo training the 21st of August. And we also have a Syncdog training 13 August. And after that, we have a MiniOrange training the 13th of September. And finally, 6th of September, we have a PK8 training. So you guys can go ahead and follow our LinkedIn page to see our activities and to register and to follow us and to attend with us as well. Thank you very much.
Great point. Yes, I forgot that. Amazing point, Nadir. So yes, as I told you guys, we do lots of trainings, and these are technical. These are demos. These are trainings that will show you the product in action. It shows you how it works. So please attend those. My colleagues Nadir and the marketing team will share them with you, and you can find them on our LinkedIn page. Please just go there and register. We'll be happy to see you in these trainings. So that's the story of Syncdog. Moving forward now, the next one. This is not the topic of today's webinar because we're focused on cybersecurity, but just quickly, we at Distilogix were so proud that we carried the flag of open networking since 2019, and we led the market in that. And when I say open networking, it's anything other than the black box manufacturers, which like Cisco, Juniper, Xcitium, Huawei, those that give you networking equipment integrated with the software that runs on that. We give you open switches with a network operating system that runs on it, and that network operating system, which is an open source network operating system, is what we call Sonic, software for open networks in cloud, which was developed by Microsoft first to run their Microsoft Azure data centers. So switches and network equipment that run those data centers, those cloud data centers, they all use Sonic. And then Microsoft gave it to the world, and Facebook jumped in and they started developing, started using it. And then we got EdgeCore, we got Dell, we got lots of other organizations that contributed in the development of Sonic, and now it's a huge thing. And I'm sure you know that all big players, superscalers, in their data centers, in their cloud, Alibaba, you name it, Google Cloud, AWS, I don't think you believe they use Cisco switches, right? They all use open switches because of the low latency and because of the capabilities that come with Sonic. We represent a great switching, we call it thick switch, which is Aster Fusion. So they manufacture everything you want from hardware and wireless switches and everything that you need in the network equipment. They did a great job with Sonic. So they took Sonic and they developed a container within Sonic because it's very modular. Sonic is very modular, and they developed a container that makes the interface exactly similar to Cisco's interface. So if you have trained your engineers to do, CCNP, CCIE, or whatever, that we're keeping your investment. We're not going to be wasting your investment because it's the same commands and everything. They have the lowest latency in the industry today. I mean, on the motherboard, which is a huge thing, especially for superscalers. And an awesome thing about them, they're one of probably 2 or 3 manufacturers in the world that today can deliver in 8 weeks. And with the logistics mess that we have and vendors having to wait for 9 months to deliver their equipment at a fraction of the cost, very aggressive commercially. And if you want an absolutely totally centralized SDN solution with dumb switches, then we give you PK8, which gives you everything you want from software-defined networks like zero-touch provisioning, configuration management, automation, network automation, and all of that. And it can work with any dumb switch. So you can have it from EdgeCore or Dell or Delta, or Cumulus, or any of those. you install a tiny little piece of software called PIC-OS on those switches. They connect to the SDN software server, which is called Amcon, which allows you to do everything centrally, and that's the power of SDN. But I'm not going to spend much time. In digital experience, we represent GoTo, because we were the distributors of LogMeIn. LogMeIn was acquired by GoTo, and we've got an awesome product for IT service management, remote support, unattended support. You create technicians, you allow them to support your branches in Brazil or China away from you, unattended. You can help them even connect through a camera to see the hardware. If there is a hardware failure, they help you get third party without extra licenses. So if you're supporting a Microsoft Exchange server and you need someone from Microsoft to join, then you just send them a challenge, no clients, boom, they connect and they join that support call with ticketing system and escalation, and you can record what these technicians are doing and everything, remote access, remote installation, without the engagement with the end user, everything you can think about. Plus, you get a security module on top of that, which gives you patch management. So remember patch management we talked about when we talked about Xcitium, but they also give you patch management and they give you a legacy type of MDM. Liquidware is a high-end solution usually used by large organizations and telcos and banks, large banks, and so on. Liquidware does digital workspace management. So after you transform digitally, they help you manage that environment by one, profile management. Remember the old profile management, we get shared profiles from Microsoft, and then Microsoft acquired FSLogic to help enhance profile management. For high-end organizations, they need capabilities like the ones provided by Liquidware. And Liquidware gives you application layering, so they help you disaggregate the golden image from the applications running on it, and that's like a magic stick. Because in the old days, remember when we had the golden image with its applications and how we suffer with changes, upgrades from Windows 7 to Windows 10 or whatever, we make your life easier with that application compatibility. And the final thing they do is user experience, monitoring and diagnosis for observability and visibility. So we collect telemetry from your users that could be thousands of miles away from you, and we know if they're suffering from like application launching problems or login procedures or network connectivity problem or the virtual environment or the servers. So it helps you as an IT department to be very proactive and help fix things before even people call and complain. Also, it helps you plan properly. It helps you give evidence to your management to show them why you need this budget. So it helps you even plan for your budget because it tells you what the problem is and where you need to invest your money to fix the problem. Vembo is a very cool product. We have a great training with them on the 21st of August. Please join that. It's a technical and demo training. It's an awesome backup and disaster recovery tool. They do help you back up any type of data from any source to any destination on premises or cloud, even with an MSP offering. They back up everything. The great thing about them is that they're like similar to Veeam and others. The great thing about them is one, they are so easy to run. So like one of their customers said once, a 6-year-old kid can run a Vembo BDR environment. This is how easy it is. They're very aggressive commercially, and they have their own file system, which means that when you do your backup and using Vembo, and someone manages for whatever reason to steal that documents or whatever that was backed up, they want to be able to open it because they have a proprietary file system that cannot be recognized easily by others. The last piece of products we have, which is part of cybersecurity, but this is dedicated to military, security, public security, intelligence departments, any of those sensitive organizations. Again, we see Protelion here. Remember Protelion with their capabilities with encryption and VPN and how it cannot be decrypted. So for such sensitive organizations, we sell the corporate secure app and we sell the hardened mobile phones for VIPs to make sure that no one spies on their calls. And we represent one of the top 10 manufacturers of body-worn cameras. Do you know those cameras that policemen put on their chests? And like when they chase a criminal, it records everything that happens. So we sell them a variety of those products that of those cameras. Some of them can connect using 4G to a management platform, like a central management platform. And some of them, they can even come, you can hang using a lanyard on your chest, and you can have like an employee card that has a camera on it, like if you're securing a sensitive or region or sensitive event or something. And as part of our ecosystem, and when I mean ecosystem, it means that we work with them, but we don't yet have the distribution agreement. The last two, the first two, we are distributors. So we've got a distribution agreement with Protelion and Zecurion. The Unival Group and HARP, we work with them based on MOU to add value to you as a reseller. So Unival manufactures equipment to suppress signals, to prevent someone from stealing your communication signals and recording them or sniffing them. So like in a military base, you don't want someone to park next to their military base with sensors and start like recording all of this communication and then analyzing them and so on. So we help you suppress that to protect you, including Wi-Fi Guardian. So even the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz, we can suppress them, and we can even different frequencies used for that military or any kind of communication. And there is finally HARP, which is a known product to protect you from voice recording. So if you're let's say you're a VIP person, then I come visit you with my mobile phone, and then we talk. Then I turn on my recorder and try to record your communication, our dialogue. HARP helps you. If you have the HARP device there, I will finish recording. I'll go back home, try to listen to what I recorded. I won't hear anything. So it interferes with your microphone and prevents you really from benefiting from some such a recording. So it's like those are very specific use cases, but mainly for sensitive and VIP organizations and VIP persons in our countries. So that's our portfolio. Thank you so much. We highly appreciate that you're with us today. I know it's time for summer vacations, but we were blessed with you today. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to always be with you. We're here to support you the way we promised. We want to walk the talk. We want to be your most trusted partner, and we want you to enjoy value from the first interaction with us, from first engagement, whether you're an end customer, a reseller, or a technology vendor. And I repeat, we're channel driven, which means we never do direct engagement, direct business with end customers. Everything has to go through a reseller, a local reseller in that specific country. We make sure that technology always makes a difference, and our partnership with you guys is the only path to success. We do believe deep in our hearts in the concept of win-win situations. We go beyond normal practices to support you. This is our presentation today. I was expecting like one gentleman from Syncdog to join us today. If he's there, I want him to connect. Actually, I want to add him. I'll like change him to a panelist and welcome him as a guest of honor. But I think he's not there probably. I don't know if Alan or Ted is there. Probably not. Okay, no issues. I think they did not manage to join. It's too early in the US now. Nope. Alan is traveling, so it's like probably in the airport now. Alan is not there. Oh, no, they're not there. Anyways, thank you so much. Any questions, guys? I see some questions in the Q&A. So, Mr. Muhammad, what differentiates Bamboo from Veeam? Muhammad, I'll be very honest. Backup has been there for ages, for decades. So there isn't much of a difference, to be honest and straightforward. But it's a great product. It's a great product. Their file system is awesome. which adds a great layer of security. Their approach, which they call 3-2-1, which is 3 copies in 2 different locations and so on, is great to protect you from ransomware. Remember, the last resort you have is your backup if you were hit by ransomware, and did save multiple organizations. But I don't want to mention names because we cannot mention names. But if you have a good backup that is safe, and you're hit by ransomware, that's your way to save your organization. So that's mainly what they do. Majorly, it's because of their file system, which helps you a lot against ransomware. Yeah. Great, awesome, Mazen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Roba and Chris. I'm happy you enjoyed it. I hope it was not boring. Great.
I hope you guys, if you enjoyed this session, please join us for the upcoming ones. We'll be really happy to have you then.
Yep. Please make sure you attend those trainings. They're very useful. We've got Vembo 21st. We've got Syncdog on 30th of August. We've got the MiniOrange, I think, at the 13th of September. And we've got PK8, which I think it's on the 6th, right, Nadir?
Yes, PK8 is on the 6th of September, yes.
6th of September.
Yes.
The schedule is added to our LinkedIn page, so please go there. It's okay, Mazen. You're a bit late. It's okay. Sorry, no problem, man. Oh, really? Oh, you're joining us from the US. Thank you for waking up so early. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ahmad, and thank you all. Awesome. Enjoy your day.